Rebecca Edgecumbe and Dr. Caroly Shumway from the ABA Climate Coalition. They are newly formed, and we are really excited to hear a lot more about this organization and what you have to offer, the science of behavior analysis. So I want to if you could just start by telling me a little bit about yourselves and what was your role prior to the formation of the Climate Coalition?
Sure. Well, I'll start out. Hi, my name's Rebecca Edgecumbe. I am a behavior analyst. I started working with kids with autism in the early 2000s, like I'm sure, many of us started out working with kids with autism. I earned the certification in 2008, and I continue to work in the area of supports and services for individuals with developmental disabilities. But as it relates to the ABA Climate Coalition, I've always considered myself to be environmentally conscious and concerned about global warming. And a few years ago, I connected with Caroly and the Center for Behavior and Climate, which was founded by Dr. Stephen Eversole. And I've been collaborating with them on a variety of climate-related projects. And then most recently, I've been participating in the development and launch of the ABA Climate Coalition.
Hi, I'm actually not a behavior analyst. I'm a behavioral neuroscientist and marine biologist by training. I've spent roughly 30 years in conservation work, both globally and nationally, and it soon became apparent that environmental education on its own does not change people's behavior. So education is, in fact, the least successful approach to encouraging pro-climate behavior, as shown by Bergquist et al. 2024. So I started as director of the Center for Behavior and Climate, CBC, in 2020. And in 2024, Rebecca and I and our other collaborators worked closely with the CDC and 8 state public health grantees on behavior change messaging for climate health risks. So there's a variety of ways that you can incorporate behavior messaging into making a difference in conservation.
That's great. That's wonderful. And you've told us a little bit about but give us sort of your elevator pitch of the ABA Climate Coalition and what inspired the formation of this group.
Okay, well, the ABA Climate Coalition was founded by Dr. Stephen Eversole, who has been concerned about the climate as well for many years. And so the coalition is an effort to develop a movement of behavior analysts taking action to address climate change using the knowledge and skills that we already possess. So as we all know, ABA has become so closely associated with autism. They're practically synonymous. People hear ABA, they think, oh, it's for autism. And that's understandable given the vast body of research showing that we're evidence-based, we're a great treatment for autism. But behavior analysis can be applied to other behaviors and societal challenges as well, including climate change. The science is undeniable that human behavior has directly contributed to the emission of greenhouse gases that cause global warming. So therefore, to effectively address climate change, humans must change their behavior. So this is the inspiration of ABACC, is to engage behavior analysts with helping humans change their behavior to take action on climate.
I'll just build off of what Rebecca said. One thing we learned at the CBC was that other behavioral and communication fields are already involved in pro-climate and pro-environmental work. And that includes social psychology, behavioral economics, decision science, cognitive science, sociology, political science, and marketing. What was missing were behavior analysts. And actually, Steve and I did a preliminary study several years ago. We presented a poster at the ABAI conference, exploring how behavior analysts felt about climate change and whether they were concerned and whether they wanted behavior analysts to be more involved in climate change. And the preliminary results showed that behavior analysts are deeply concerned about climate change. And they also want to see behavior analysts engaged in climate change. So that was in part, I think, part of the impetus of Steve to help form the Climate Coalition.
That's great. I love that. And tell us a little bit about some of the key initiatives that you're working on.
Okay. At ABAI, we recently conducted a poll that showed that behavior analysts are most interested in taking collective action on climate change as opposed to individual action. Citizens Climate Lobby is a bipartisan group that lobbies state and federal governments to take action on climate. And so ABACC is looking at promoting Climate Coalition's initiatives for our members to also take action on in a collective manner. Also, ABACC has partnered with Get Green on a sustainability app that allows individuals and organizations to track their own behavior change to reduce their carbon footprint. The app uses gamification to motivate and reinforce pro-climate behaviors. So these are all terms that we're familiar with, right? This is behavior analysis, while also providing data about participants' climate mitigation behaviors at individual and organizational levels.
Yeah, we're laser focused on making a difference on climate action and bringing more behavior analysts into working on climate action. So right now we're working with our board to develop a strategic plan, both for programmatic objectives and organizational objectives. And we're also working to expand both individual and organizational membership, both of which are free. So we hope people will join. Just following up on the Get Green app, we're working to add higher impact climate actions to the app. We're currently engaged in a survey of 400 behavior analysis, primarily master's students at Endicott College, with 2 researchers at Endicott College, to find out what motivates behavior analysts to act and what holds them back from acting, as well as which higher impact actions they might be most inclined to do. And what we find, if we find particular higher impact climate actions, those are the actions we're going to put into the app and test it out. And that would be the app that would be available for free for ABACC members. We'll also be offering regular webinars to help provide practical behavior change skills to behavior analysts. And then we're trying to be a climate hub for behavior analysts so that we would be the place to look. We have a pretty resource-rich website already, but if you're looking, we're hoping that universities, we have some university courses there already, but we're hoping if behavior analysts are looking to try to find webinars or courses or programs or research opportunities linking behavior analysis with climate change or sustainability, that they would go to our website for that information.
That's great. Some wonderful initiatives. I'm very excited about that app too. That sounds really exciting. And, we love to track and change behavior. So that sounds right up our alley. So you talked about some collective action. What can just the everyday behavior analysts do to contribute to climate action? What can I do as just an individual?
Sure. So, as behavior analysts, we have a unique set of skills that allow us to analyze and understand behavior, then develop plans and strategies to change behavior and teach new behaviors. So, this is directly applicable to changing climate related behavior. Climate science has already determined the high impact behaviors that need to change in order to reduce global greenhouse gas emissions. So we can apply our unique understanding of behavior to change our own behavior and assist others in our families, our friends, workplaces, and communities to change their behavior as well, simply by applying the skills that we already have to climate related behavior.
So just picking up on that, people must talk more. A very easy thing to do is to talk more about your own views on climate change and climate action and emphasize that the majority supports your concern. So a recent poll showed that globally, actually the poll was of 77,000 people in over 70 countries, that 4 out of 5 people want their nations to take stronger climate action. And so behavior analysts can just talk about it. One of the problems is people think that other people don't care about climate change. But as I just told you, the majority do care. And so it's really a matter of getting that word out, because if people feel like everybody else cares about climate change, then it's much more likely society will act. The second thing is that behavior analysts can learn about what works and what doesn't in terms of motivating people to act on climate. And then, like yourself, Sarah, apply it in your own community or with climate groups. For example, the marketing firm Potential Energy recently conducted a worldwide survey on what motivates people to act on climate change. And the top message around the world was legacy motivation. So the motivation to make the world better for your children or children's children. And that message was 12 times more effective than messages on extreme weather, health, or possible climate jobs. So it's a really effective message. Other effective approaches include social norms, highlighting someone's social identity, and approaches to increasing response efficacy. Because if people feel like they can actually make a difference, then they're more likely to try that. And we'd also like to see more behavior analytic research in climate action. For example, more research is needed in solutions for addressing climate disinformation and denial. We also need strategies for promoting collective action, such as promoting a culture of public activism or lobbying, addressing delay discounting, given that the consequences of non-action are remote, rule governance for addressing climate actions with delayed and improbable outcomes, and adoption of impactful climate actions, just to name a couple.
Wow, it's incredible. It's incredible. We have a lot of work to do, but we appreciate you helping us. So tell us one sort of because you talked a little bit about there's things not to do and things to do. What's something that is a to do that maybe can help support climate change and climate action?
Well, talk about it for sure.
Mhm.
And just get involved, in some way. I mean, we've been advocating for Citizens Climate Lobby, but even just getting involved with any group that's trying to engage at a more collective scale is helpful. It's helpful to work on your own individual behaviors, but we also need to think about more collective and community behaviors as well.
Great, great.
So, and also just thinking of behavior analysts and where we work, right? Many of us are working in schools and we have good relationships, hopefully, with administrators there and leadership there. And so it could be possible to create opportunities within the schools. I know and there have been initiatives to green school campuses, to have green initiatives at schools. And of course, that's going to require some behavior change. So, given that we're already in schools, if the administration is supportive, excuse me, of greening their school, we can assist with the development of those goals and the implementation of plans to do so. There have been various programs where behavior analysts have assisted with implementing, composting, for example, of food waste that then the children turn around and use in a garden to grow vegetables. A lot of learning opportunities there too, right? But we can think about where we are in our own workplaces and how we can assist with the implementation of, climate-related pro-climate behavior.
That's great. And I bet we could probably do the same types of thing at some clinics too. Very similar types of activities.
Yeah,
absolutely.
At clinics, there's as a service provider, there's lots people could do. So Rebecca talked about food changes in schools. There's also transportation changes, but there can also be energy efficient choices that clinics or schools or centers could make, including moving to all electric or more electric energy. And if the buildings, if you don't have the capacity to cost wise for things like solar panels, you can still join community solar in your area and reap the similar benefits to owning the solar panels. So in fact, according to Forbes magazine, community solar can save you money on your electric bill, and many cities offer utility credits to do so. So that's one great thing centers and clinics could do. And there's a side benefit to organizations making a difference. So Kite Insights did a study that showed that employers improve employee satisfaction and staff retention by doing so, by being climate conscious in their work. So 70% of employees reported that acting on climate change at work was important to their own personal sense of motivation and well-being. And 15% of workers considered changing their jobs to work more directly on climate change. So it's in the employer's best interest for focusing on this.
Wow, Absolutely. That's amazing. I didn't realize that. That's really amazing. I was looking at on your website and I saw I would love to know a little bit more about your online course, Behavior Change for Climate Action 101 for behavior analysts. It sounds really exciting. Why should behavior analysts enroll? Tell us a little bit more about that.
It is exciting. I might be biased, but I think it is a really great course because it does provide that introduction to behavior change principles for climate mitigation through individual and collective action. So, speaking for myself as a behavior analyst, I've been so curious to learn how can I shift? How can I take what I know to work in the area of climate? And so, this course gives an understanding of the factors affecting pro climate behavior tools for countering these factors, and the process for applying behavior principles to climate change, as well as how to match the behavior tool to the audience and the situation, and as outreach and communication tips as well. So I was very excited to learn from this course how to pivot and apply the skills in another area.
Yeah, one thing that the course is an online course. It takes about 5 hours, and it includes 4 lectures and then on an active student responding. So essentially online questions and answers that help you practice the skills. But we also offer live workshops in the same way. So if people are interested, they can let us know, and we just accumulate the number of people. And then last year, for example, we did two live workshops, and which is a total of 3 weeks, 1 hour each week, and gives people a chance to really learn with other people. So we have. It's a little bit more lively, obviously, than the online course. One thing that we've learned is that, and I'm sure you know this, Sarah, is a behavior analyst, is that, and every field has their own jargon, but one of the challenges of behavior analysts entering into this field is that they need to understand the jargon of other behavioral sciences. And so the course has a preamble taught by Jonathan Kimball at Behavior Development Solutions, provided by Jonathan, which sort of translates the other research that we present, because the course is both interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary. And so it's sort of a dictionary that helps people be able to translate the other fields that we're presenting in the course. And so that's really been helpful, I think, for behavior analysts as they take the course.
Oh, that's great. That sounds wonderful. So tell us, how can our members get more involved in the ABA Climate Coalition? It sounds like there's a lot of ways, but what's kind of the first step?
Yeah, so join us. Check out our website. It's abaclimate.org. We have a lot of information there, as Caroly mentioned. We will be hosting an online meet and greet for our members on July 23rd, 12 o'clock Eastern Time, and we will continue to host these informal meetups throughout the year. We're really focusing on developing a community of behavior analysts who are interested in taking action on climate.
Yeah, and people can also volunteer. I think you have to sign up as a member first, and then log in, and then it shows the list of volunteer opportunities. We have a slew. Right now, we have 5 collaborators assisting us on the website and our efforts, but there's a number of things that we could still use volunteers for. And then we have a monthly newsletter that we put out. It'll come out next Monday or Tuesday. And it provides an action of the month suggestion, and as well as information on recent climate reports, as well as information on possible conferences coming up that people might be interested in.
That's great. Sounds like a lot of great information, a lot of wonderful ways to get involved.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you'd like to make sure that our members know about you or about um, climate action or anything else before we end?
Well, we did a survey. So we did a survey. We had a business meeting at the ABAI conference, which was helpful. And as Rebecca mentioned, all the people that were there really felt like they wanted us to focus on collective action. But this meet and greet that Rebecca talked about for July 23rd at noon, we really want to hear from people because we want people to feel that they're part of a community. And so to go beyond conferences and to go beyond action and to feel like you're really making a difference. So that's an important aspect of what we're trying to do. And we're hoping to get organizations to join because we think we can really be effective there. One thing that I didn't mention is that in addition to Get Green also offers their app for organizations. And for organizations, we'll also be working with a consultant to offer a discount on carbon impact reporting for buildings so that if you have centers and you really want to start keeping track of how to reduce your carbon footprint, we can work with a consultant to help you do that as well.
That's great. Really wonderful. Well, I thank you both for joining us here today. This is really exciting. I'm really excited to share this with our members and wish you the best of luck with everything. And looking forward to that 101 climate change 101 course.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for inviting us.
Yes, thank you so much. This has been a wonderful opportunity.
You're very welcome.